Before we begin, take a moment to get comfortable. Find a quiet position, relax your shoulders, and allow your breathing to slow down. This is a long, calm story designed to help you unwind, relax, and gently drift towards sleep. Nothing in this video is meant to be intense or demanding. Instead, we'll move slowly through the story together, exploring its details at a peaceful pace. If your mind wanders while listening, that's completely okay. You don't need to focus on every word. Just let the story play quietly in the background as your thoughts soften and your body relaxes. Tonight's story will take us through the history of something interesting, exploring how it began, how it grew over time, and the many small moments that shaped it along the way. So settle in, close your eyes if you'd like, and let the story begin. Fantastic Four, A History, Part 1. In the vast tapestry of heroes that make up the Marvel Universe, there is arguably no quartet more foundational, more earth-shaking in their influence, than the team known simply as the Fantastic Four. Their story is one of adventure and discovery, of cosmic wonder and personal challenge, a sometimes fractured family bound together by shared history and the unending thrill of the unknown. At the heart of the Fantastic Four are four extraordinary individuals, each altered in body and destiny by a single fateful event. They are scientists and explorers, adventurers and defenders, but more than anything, they are a family, imperfect, combustible, and unbreakably tied to one another. Genesis, an accidental birth. Long before they were heroes, they were colleagues and companions driven by curiosity. In the mid-20th century of the Marvel Universe, the fields of physics, space exploration, and experimental science were racing forward with dizzying momentum. It was a time when dreams of spaceflight mingled with the unknown mysteries of cosmic rays, particles that whispered secrets of the universe's fabric. It was here, on the bleeding edge of human knowledge, that their story began. Reed Richards was the architect of an audacious dream, a man whose mind seemed to operate on a frequency just slightly beyond that of ordinary mortals. A brilliant scientist he had. Spent years engrossed in theories of interdimensional travel, of using the Earth's orbit itself as a launch point into places beyond human comprehension. Richards worked with an intensity that thrilled some and intimidated others. Yet for all his genius, he was humble in his love of discovery and unbounded in his optimism. Alongside him stood his closest companions, Johnny Storm, a young man whose fiery spirit was matched only by his lightning-quick reflexes and boundless energy, Susan Storm, calm and insightful, a brilliant planner with a steady heart and a natural leadership that belied her gentle manner, and Ben Grimm, Reed's oldest and dearest friend, a former pilot with a hard-earned toughness and a wry sense of humor. The four were not merely teammates. They were a circle of friends drawn together by ambition, respect, and the thrill of the unknown. They shared laughter, arguments, dreams, and setbacks. But nothing in their past prepared them for what they were about to face: cosmic rays and catalysts. The plan was daring in its simplicity: build an experimental rocket powered by a new kind of energy, capable of testing the limits of space itself. Reed believed that if the vessel could endure a certain threshold of cosmic radiation, perhaps they could glimpse realities and universes otherwise inaccessible. In a classified government facility deep underground, the four worked tirelessly to prepare the craft. They gathered data, ran simulations, and argued passionately over the design. On the day of the test, however, everything changed. What was meant to be a controlled experiment became a dance with fate. Cosmic rays surged far beyond predicted limits. Warnings blared. Machines groaned under impossible stress. Yet the team, poised to make history and unwilling to abandon their creation, climbed aboard and launched into the storm of radiation. When they returned to Earth, limping, singed, exhausted, they soon realized that the cosmic rays had done more than just batter their vessel. They had rewired the very essence of their beings. The birth of powers. Reed Richards discovered, with a mixture of astonishment and awe, that his body could stretch beyond the limits of flesh and bone, elongating, twisting, and reforming at will. The shock of it threw him to the floor, laughing and trembling as he realized the possibility of such power, and the responsibility that might come with it. Johnny Storm found himself burning with the intensity of living flame. His touch could ignite fires, his body could ascend in radiant heat, and at will he could become a flickering blaze that defied conventional form. The transformation frightened him at first, yet it also thrilled him. The freedom to fly, to blaze across the sky like a shooting star, was intoxicating. Susan Storm awoke to a different kind of change. She could render herself invisible at will, conceal her presence like a ghost in daylight, and soon discovered that she could generate shimmering force fields, barriers of energy that could stop bullets, contain blasts, or shape themselves into almost any form her mind could conceive. Her powers were graceful and subtle, but no less formidable. And Ben Grimm, Ben, the steadfast anchor of the group, found his body transformed into something unforeseen and terrifying. Thick, craggy rock replaced flesh, giving him strength beyond measure at the cost of his human appearance. The transformation devastated him. He saw in the mirror not a man, but a creature carved from granite. Yet beneath that stone lay the same loyal heart and unbreakable courage that had defined him long before. Thus was born the Fantastic Four, a team forged in catastrophe, but defined by courage. Finding purpose. The world's reaction to their emergence was mixed. Some hailed them as heroes, symbols of human potential and courage. Others feared their powers, uncertain what such beings might portend. Governments watched anxiously. The press buzzed with speculation. But amid the chaos of public opinion, the four knew one thing with absolute clarity. They were no longer ordinary humans, and their destiny had been irrevocably altered. Reed, ever the visionary, saw in their transformation an opportunity to protect humanity, to explore where others could not, and to use their unique gifts to confront threats both terrestrial and cosmic. Susan, with her calm intellect, helped temper Reed's grand designs with reasoned strategy. Johnny found joy in the freedom of his powers, though he also grew in maturity, as each mission taught him caution and empathy. Ben, despite his own personal struggle with his appearance, became the team's unshakable defender, the one they could always count on when danger loomed. Their first missions were not the grand cosmic voyages most would imagine. They fought gangsters empowered by stolen tech, foiled corporate sabotage schemes, thwarted MAD. Scientists with delusions of dominance. Every encounter honed their skills, strengthened their bonds, and taught them that heroism was as much about heart as it was about power. But it wasn't long before the cosmic beckoned again. The Galactus threat. Just weeks after their emergence as a team, whispers began circulating of a threat unlike anything Earth had seen. A massive cosmic entity, known only in ancient star charts and interstellar legend, was approaching the solar system. A being that consumed entire planets to sustain its existence. Its name was Galactus. In the firmament of cosmic powers, Galactus was not malevolent in the way humans understood evil. He existed outside morality. He was a force of nature, a cosmic constant whose hunger devoured stars and worlds alike. But to the people of Earth, his arrival spelled annihilation. As panic rippled across the globe, the Fantastic Four stood on the front lines of humanity's defense. Reed pored over fragmented data transmissions, calculating trajectories and devising a plan. Susan stabilized terrified refugees. Johnny and Ben coordinated evacuation efforts while also preparing to confront the looming threat. They faced cosmic heralds, impossible energies, and philosophies that defied human comprehension. The Fantastic Four were pushed to their limits, testing not just their powers but their collective resolve. Reed's brilliance was matched by his willingness to question the very essence of existence. Susan's empathy became the compass that kept them focused. Johnny's fiery spirit ignited courage in others, and Ben's unyielding strength became a bastion against despair. Galactus's arrival tested them in ways that a simple romp through the multiverse could not. They stood not just as defenders but as representatives of all life on Earth, flawed, hopeful, determined. The bonds that bind. What made the Fantastic Four extraordinary was not merely their abilities, but the connections between them. Reed and Susan's bond deepened into a partnership that was both romantic and intellectual, a union of minds and hearts that helped anchor the team through turbulent cosmic tides. Johnny, spirited and impulsive, learned patience and humility from his teammates while also reminding them never to lose their sense of wonder, and Ben, always wrestling with his own self-image, became the moral grounding that kept the team human even when faced with the inhuman. They were not simply colleagues or teammates. They were family. Fantastic Four: A History, Part 2. After their initial transformation and early heroic deeds, the Fantastic Four began to understand the true scale of their responsibilities. They were no longer just a group of scientists turned adventurers. They were now a living symbol of what humanity could achieve when courage and intellect were combined. Their powers gave them access to worlds and dangers beyond ordinary comprehension, and their ingenuity allowed them to confront threats that even the strongest individuals could not face alone. Yet their emergence as heroes also marked the beginning of a life filled with relentless challenges. Unlike many other superhero teams, the Fantastic Four were not cloaked in secrecy, nor did they retreat into shadowy headquarters. Instead, they operated openly, often in the heart of the public eye, with their base at the iconic Baxter Building in New York City. This towering glass and steel structure became more than just a headquarters. It was a symbol of transparency, knowledge, and human achievement. From this center, they coordinated not only their adventures but also their scientific research, exploring the unknown while protecting Earth from imminent threats. The early villains, Dr. Doom, emerges. No discussion of the Fantastic Four can begin without addressing their most enduring adversary, Victor Von Doom, known universally as Dr. Doom. Doom was not just a villain in the ordinary sense. He was a reflection of Reed Richards' own intellect and ambition, warped by pride and a relentless desire for domination. Unlike random criminals or petty villains, Doom was a genius, whose mastery of both science and sorcery made him uniquely dangerous. His motivations were complex. He sought not merely wealth or power, but recognition as the supreme ruler of the world, and later, the universe itself. Their first encounters with Doom tested the Fantastic Four in every way. It was not merely a battle of fists or powers, but of minds. Reed Richards' analytical brilliance often collided with Doom's cunning and resourcefulness, creating conflicts that were as intellectual as they were physical. Doom's armor, filled with both technological innovations and mystical enhancements, made him a nearly unstoppable force, and his schemes were vast in scope. In these early battles, the Fantastic Four learned that victory did not always come from raw strength, but from unity, ingenuity, and the ability to anticipate the unexpected. Even more striking than their conflicts with Doom was the personal dimension of their rivalry. Doom had an uncanny knowledge of human nature and could exploit weaknesses not just in the team's strategies but in their relationships. This made him a perpetual challenge, forcing the Fantastic Four to grow not just as heroes but as a family. Each encounter left lessons about trust, leadership, sacrifice, and resilience. Doom would remain a constant presence in their lives, a shadow that pushed them to be better, stronger, and more innovative. Galactic adventures and cosmic threats. While Dr. Doom anchored many of their earthbound battles, the Fantastic Four were also pioneers in confronting cosmic phenomena. Their transformation had granted them abilities that were ideally suited to interstellar travel, and their curiosity drove them into the furthest reaches of space. The team quickly discovered that the universe was full of wonder, danger, and intelligence beyond human comprehension. Among their earliest cosmic adversaries was Annihilus, a tyrant from the Negative Zone, a parallel universe of antimatter. Annihilus's ambitions were straightforward yet terrifying: domination and survival. His mastery of advanced technology and ability to manipulate entire dimensions made him a formidable foe. The Fantastic Four's encounters with him demanded every ounce of creativity, bravery, and teamwork they could muster. Notably, it was not always the power of their abilities that secured victory, but the careful combination of Susan's strategic force fields, Reed's scientific insight, Johnny's daring maneuvers, and Ben's unyielding strength. It was during these cosmic excursions that the Fantastic Four began to expand their understanding of the universe's architecture. They encountered alien civilizations, interdimensional beings, and ancient cosmic entities whose power dwarfed even their own. These experiences were as transformative as their initial exposure to cosmic rays. They learned the limits of human knowledge, the fragility of life, and the necessity of courage in the face of the incomprehensible. Each journey into the stars reinforced the team's cohesion and deepened their appreciation of one another's strengths, family matters, and personal growth. Though their adventures were often fantastical, the Fantastic Four's story has always been grounded in personal relationships and family dynamics. Reed and Susan's bond evolved naturally from partnership to marriage, forming a cornerstone for the team's emotional stability. Their relationship was tested repeatedly by crises, by Doom's machinations, by the constant pressure of public expectation, yet it endured. Susan's intelligence and calm presence balanced Reed's obsessive tendencies, while her protective instincts guided the younger members of the team. Johnny Storm, the youngest, continued to struggle with impulsiveness and a desire for recognition. His journey from brash, reckless youth to seasoned hero was gradual and marked by lessons in humility, responsibility, and sacrifice. Often he served as both comic relief and moral heart, reminding the team not to lose the wonder that had initially drawn them together. Ben Grimm's story was perhaps the most poignant. Transformed into the Thing, he grappled with feelings of alienation and insecurity. Despite his immense strength, he often felt trapped in a form that society would not fully accept. Yet his loyalty to his friends and his innate heroism proved that true courage lies not in appearances but in character. Ben's struggles, openly acknowledged by the team, became a testament to the human side of heroism. That strength is measured as much in perseverance and heart as it is in muscle. The Fantastic Four and the Marvel Universe. Over the decades, the Fantastic Four became central figures in the broader narrative of the Marvel Universe. Their existence provided a bridge between human-scale heroism and cosmic-scale adventure. They influenced and interacted with other heroes, Spider-Man, the Avengers, the X-Men, and countless others, often acting as mentors, allies, or challengers. Their pioneering spirit paved the way for entire generations of heroes, showing that intellect, courage, and cooperation could match, and often surpass, sheer brute power. One of their defining traits was their willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. They did not merely fight evil, they questioned the nature of morality, the implications of power, and the responsibilities that came with abilities far beyond the norm. Reed's scientific ambition often led them into ethical quandaries. Susan's foresight and empathy tempered reckless decisions. Johnny's youthful enthusiasm reminded them to value the joy in life, and Ben's grounded perspective ensured that they remained connected to their humanity. The Fantastic Four were not just defenders of Earth, they were ambassadors, explorers, and chroniclers of the unknown. Their adventures spanned time, space, and dimensions, from alternate realities where they faced twisted versions of themselves to the far future, where they encountered descendants and echoes of their legacy. Legacies and continuing adventures. As the team matured, they began mentoring new heroes, experimenting with scientific frontiers, and confronting threats that few others could even perceive. The Baxter Building remained both a home and a laboratory, a place where innovation and heroism intersected. The team established networks of allies across dimensions and galaxies, ensuring that knowledge, preparedness, and courage could be shared wherever danger arose. Not all adventures were battles or crises. The Fantastic Four also faced personal challenges, tragedies, and moments of quiet reflection. They celebrated victories, mourned losses, and grew into a family whose bonds transcended circumstance. Their story demonstrated that heroism was not merely about action, but about perseverance, morality, and the capacity to inspire hope in others. Even as new generations arose, the original four remained vital to the universe's balance. Their ingenuity, bravery, and teamwork became a template for countless heroes. They were a reminder that true strength comes not from power alone, but from unity, love, and the courage to face the unknown together. Fantastic Four: A History, Part 3. As the Fantastic Four grew in experience and fame, it became clear that the universe was far more complicated and unpredictable than anyone, even Reed Richards, could have imagined. Their adventures were no longer confined to the Earth, or even the familiar reaches of our galaxy. They began encountering realities where the laws of physics, morality, and human nature were twisted into strange and sometimes terrifying forms. These alternate realities challenged not only their powers, but their identities, their family bonds, and the very meaning of heroism. Exploring the multiverse. One of the most defining elements of the Fantastic Four's long history is their pioneering role in exploring the multiverse. Early on, Reed Richards recognized that the universe as humans perceive it is only a fraction of what exists. Parallel dimensions, alternate timelines, and shadow. Worlds were as real as the New York streets the team patrolled. The Fantastic Four were among the first heroes to traverse these realms, testing their ingenuity and courage against challenges that often defied logic. In some alternate realities, they encountered twisted versions of themselves. In one such dimension, their counterparts were cruel, ruthless, and driven by unchecked ego. These encounters were a profound shock. Facing reflections of what they might have become, forced Reed, Susan, Johnny, and Ben to confront not only their powers, but their choices, their morality, and their responsibility to each other. The lesson was stark. Heroism was not guaranteed by powers alone, but earned through the deliberate decision to act with integrity, courage, and compassion. Perhaps the most famous of these alternate universes was the Heroes Reborn timeline, in which the Fantastic Four, along with other key Marvel heroes, experienced reality, rewritten by cosmic forces. In this world, their origins, their relationships, and even their powers were subtly, and sometimes radically, altered. For readers and for the characters themselves, it was a fascinating exploration of identity. Could they remain the same heroes if everything familiar about their lives changed? Could they continue to act as a family if the ties that bound them were altered? Time and again, the Fantastic Four demonstrated that their true strength lay not in superhuman abilities, but in their loyalty, intelligence, and love for each other. The future foundation and legacy building. As the team matured, they began to consider the broader legacy of the Fantastic Four. It was no longer sufficient to simply confront threats as they arose. They recognized a need to prepare future generations for challenges the world could not yet imagine. This led to the creation of the Future Foundation, a group of young prodigies, scientists, and adventurers trained in science, strategy, and heroism. The Future Foundation was, in many ways, the Fantastic Four's way of ensuring that their mission, exploration, protection, and innovation would continue long after they were gone. The formation of the Future Foundation also reflected the personal growth of the team. Reed and Susan, once entirely focused on immediate crises, began investing in mentorship. They taught their protégés not just about physics and technology, but about ethics, teamwork, and the human spirit. Johnny and Ben, in their own ways, served as role models. Johnny demonstrated the importance of courage and emotional resilience, while Ben embodied loyalty, perseverance, and the understanding that appearances do not define worth. Together, the team created an environment where intellect, creativity, and heroism could flourish simultaneously. The Future Foundation also allowed the Fantastic Four to experiment with their powers and strategies in new ways. Young minds brought fresh perspectives to long-standing problems, from technological puzzles to cosmic dilemmas. With each successful collaboration, the team grew not only stronger, but more adaptable, preparing for threats that would inevitably come from realms beyond imagination. Time travel and its consequences. No history of the Fantastic Four is complete without acknowledging their ventures through time. Their mastery of science, coupled with their exposure to cosmic phenomena, allowed them to navigate temporal streams in ways few could. Time travel provided unparalleled opportunities for exploration, but it also introduced risks and paradoxes that tested their judgment and moral responsibility. In certain arcs, they encountered future versions of themselves, some triumphant, others tragic. Meeting descendants or echoes of their own legacy forced them to confront difficult questions. Would their choices today endanger the world tomorrow? Were there moments they could change, or was destiny fixed beyond human interference? Reed Richards, in particular, wrestled with the ethical dilemmas of temporal intervention. His intellect demanded exploration of the possibilities, but his humanity required caution and consideration for consequences far beyond the present. Time travel also provided poignant moments of family reflection. Johnny and Ben sometimes glimpsed futures where their relationships were strained or irrevocably altered. Susan and Reed observed the long-term impact of their leadership and personal choices. These experiences reinforced the importance of not only immediate action, but the ripple effects of decisions, emphasizing that heroism extends beyond battles to the very legacy one leaves behind. Battles with cosmic-level adversaries. With experience in alternate realities and temporal realms came encounters with cosmic entities whose scale dwarfed even Earth's most formidable threats. Galactus returned numerous times, each appearance testing the team's ingenuity and courage. Alongside the Silver Surfer, they explored moral and existential dilemmas that went beyond mere survival. These were conflicts not merely of power but of perspective. What did it mean to preserve life, to protect civilizations, and to navigate the responsibilities that come with abilities far beyond human comprehension? Other cosmic threats included Annihilus, whose repeated incursions from the negative zone required a combination of science, diplomacy, and sheer force to thwart. The team also faced encounters with universal entities like the Watchers and Eternity, beings that existed on scales so vast that human concerns seemed insignificant. Yet the Fantastic Four consistently demonstrated that human ingenuity, compassion, and resilience could influence even cosmic-scale outcomes. These battles solidified their reputation not just as superheroes, but as explorers, diplomats, and problem-solvers. They navigated moral gray zones, cultural misunderstandings with alien civilizations, and existential threats that challenged their understanding of reality itself. Each victory was hard-won, and each failure offered lessons that strengthened both the team and their extended allies. Emotional arcs and interpersonal challenges. Even amidst cosmic adventures, the Fantastic Four remained grounded in deeply human struggles. Their emotional arcs were as compelling as their battles. Reed wrestled with the balance between obsession with scientific discovery and personal responsibilities. Susan faced the challenge of maintaining empathy and leadership while dealing with the constant danger surrounding her family. Johnny learned that reckless courage needed guidance and patience. Ben continually navigated the tension between his formidable powers and his desire for acceptance and normalcy. Together, these arcs created a narrative where heroism was inseparable from humanity. The team's adventures were thrilling not only because of cosmic threats or dimensional anomalies, but because each story explored how extraordinary individuals coped with fear, loss, love, and responsibility. They were heroes, yes, but they were also a family, and their victories were meaningful because they remained human despite the extraordinary pressures of their lives. The Fantastic Four's cultural and narrative legacy. By this stage in their history, the Fantastic Four had transcended the role of mere adventurers. They became a central pillar of the Marvel Universe, influencing countless other heroes and teams. Their pioneering exploration of cosmic and alternate realities set a precedent for storytelling, inspiring narratives that explored morality, identity, and the nature of power. Their creation of the Future Foundation, their mentorship, and their willingness to confront the universe's most daunting challenges made them enduring icons. Through alternate realities, time travel, and cosmic adventures, they demonstrated that heroism is not a static concept. It evolves with experience, knowledge, and relationships. The Fantastic Four's story proved that the combination of intellect, courage, compassion, and family bonds could confront threats that alone would be insurmountable. They became exemplars not only of power but of wisdom, resilience, and the enduring importance of human connection. Fantastic Four, A History, Part 4. As the Fantastic Four matured, they became more than Earth's premier superhero team. They became explorers, diplomats, and protectors of realities far beyond human understanding. By this stage in their history, their lives were defined not just by battles with villains, but by encounters with forces whose scale and power could challenge the very fabric of the universe. The 20th and 21st centuries of the Marvel Universe saw them facing crises that required intellect, courage, and teamwork in ways that transcended ordinary heroics. Cosmic conflicts, Galactus, and the Devourer of Worlds. Few adversaries tested the Fantastic Four as relentlessly as Galactus, the cosmic entity who feeds on planets to sustain his existence. Unlike conventional villains, Galactus was neither evil nor malevolent in the traditional sense. He existed on a scale that made human morality almost irrelevant. Yet his inevitable arrival at Earth compelled the team to act, pitting human ingenuity and heroism against an entity that was essentially a force of nature. Their first encounter with Galactus was monumental. They were joined by the Silver Surfer, a former herald of the Devourer of Worlds, whose cosmic awareness and tragic wisdom added both perspective and urgency to their mission. The Fantastic Four were forced to confront not only physical threats but ethical dilemmas. Should they attempt to destroy or control a being whose very existence was a fundamental aspect of the cosmos? Could a small group of humans influence a creature whose powers were effectively infinite? Through careful strategy, teamwork, and courage, they managed to protect Earth, setting a pattern that would repeat over decades. Each encounter with Galactus forced the team to innovate, adapt, and trust one another implicitly. Susan Storm's force fields contained cosmic energy that threatened to obliterate the planet. Reed Richards devised plans that leveraged physics in ways previously unimagined. Johnny Storm's flames could disrupt energy sources, and Ben Grimm's strength provided the brute force needed to counter Galactus heralds and minions. Their victories were never easy, but each encounter deepened their understanding of cosmic responsibility. Infinity War and the Marvel Universe's interconnected threats. The Fantastic Four's cosmic scope extended beyond singular villains. They were often key players in universe-spanning crises, including events like the Infinity War. In these stories, threats were not confined to one city, one planet, or even one galaxy. Entire realities could be reshaped, civilizations destroyed, and cosmic balance disrupted. The team's unique combination of intellect, power, and cohesion allowed them to contribute in ways that even the most powerful individual heroes could not. Reed Richards' scientific acumen enabled them to predict and counteract cosmic manipulations, while Susan Storm's empathy and force fields safeguarded allies and civilians alike. Johnny's audacity allowed for daring maneuvers that others might consider suicidal, and Ben's unshakable loyalty ensured the team remained anchored under extreme pressure. Their participation in these universe-spanning events reinforced a crucial truth: heroism is most meaningful not when measured by raw power, but by the ability to adapt, to make ethical choices, and to act with intelligence and compassion in situations that defy ordinary understanding. Interacting with other heroes and teams. By now, the Fantastic Four were firmly integrated into the wider Marvel Universe. Their reputation as pioneers, diplomats, and problem-solvers meant they frequently intersected with other heroes, including the Avengers, the X-Men, and cosmic figures like the Silver Surfer. These interactions were never merely superficial. The Fantastic Four's unique perspective often shaped the strategies and moral choices of other heroes. For example, Reed Richards often served as an advisor to other teams when confronting scientific or cosmic anomalies. His insight into dimensional theory, energy manipulation, and cosmic radiation became indispensable. Susan Storm's strategic and empathetic leadership provided stability in chaotic scenarios, ensuring that teams remained coordinated despite internal conflicts or overwhelming threats. Johnny and Ben contributed not only their powers but their humanity, the reminder that even in the face of unimaginable forces, human courage and ingenuity remain crucial. The Fantastic Four's openness to collaboration set them apart from many other heroes. Unlike solitary vigilantes or secretive operatives, they understood the importance of alliances and mentorship, preparing other heroes for challenges the team could not face alone. These relationships were mutually beneficial, allowing for exchanges of knowledge, strategy, and moral perspective that enriched the broader superhero community. Secret Wars, reality rewritten. One of the most defining cosmic arcs in their history was Secret Wars, in which realities collided and the Marvel Universe itself was rewritten. The Fantastic Four's participation in this event underscored their role not only as defenders but as stabilizers of reality itself. In the Battleworld environment created during Secret Wars, they were confronted with versions of themselves and their allies that had been altered by cosmic forces. These encounters were both a test and a revelation. They had to navigate altered relationships, confront moral dilemmas in unfamiliar contexts, and adapt to a world where known rules no longer applied. The experience highlighted their resilience. Even when faced with existential uncertainty and destabilization, the Fantastic Four relied on their intellect, teamwork, and loyalty to each other to navigate the crisis. It was an affirmation of a recurring theme in their story. No matter how much the universe changes, the bonds that hold them together remain their most powerful tool. Balancing cosmic and personal challenges. Even at the peak of cosmic adventure, the Fantastic Four never lost sight of personal stakes. Their powers and responsibilities were vast, but they remained a family. The juxtaposition of everyday concerns with cosmic crises defined much of their narrative. Reed and Susan's marriage endured the pressures of universal responsibilities, proving that personal relationships could survive even extraordinary stress. Johnny matured from a brash, impulsive young man into a thoughtful hero, learning from both successes and failures. Ben continued to grapple with his identity as the Thing, balancing his monstrous appearance with an unwavering commitment to justice and friendship. Each personal arc reinforced the human side of heroism, reminding both the team and readers that courage is not only measured in cosmic battles, but in the persistence of love, loyalty, and ethical choice. Their domestic life often intersected with their heroic work in unexpected ways. The Baxter Building was not just a base for operations, it was home, laboratory, school, and refuge. Children, protégés, and visiting allies became part of their extended family, creating a web of relationships that strengthened the team's emotional and practical resilience. This balance of home and heroism became a hallmark of the Fantastic Four, emphasizing that even amidst the grandest adventures, humanity and personal connection remained central. Pioneers of exploration and knowledge. Throughout these cosmic and temporal adventures, the Fantastic Four remained explorers at heart. Their work was as much about discovery as confrontation. They mapped uncharted dimensions, investigated alien civilizations, and pursued scientific breakthroughs that had the potential to benefit humanity. They treated knowledge as both a responsibility and a weapon, understanding that insight into the universe's workings could be as vital as raw power in preventing catastrophe. This pioneering spirit extended beyond science to ethics and diplomacy. The team often served as mediators, translating alien perspectives for human understanding and vice versa. They frequently intervened in disputes where brute force alone would have been disastrous. By combining intellect, empathy, and courage, the Fantastic Four elevated the standard for heroism, proving that understanding and cooperation could achieve outcomes that force alone could not. Cultural and narrative impact. By the time these cosmic sagas and alternate realities had unfolded, the Fantastic Four had solidified their role not just in the Marvel Universe, but in the culture of heroism itself. They demonstrated that heroism was not a singular achievement, but a continuous process of learning, adapting, and mentoring. Their interactions with cosmic entities, alternate realities, and fellow heroes highlighted that intelligence, courage, and compassion are universal constants, valuable regardless of scale or circumstance. The Fantastic Four also served as narrative anchors. Their storylines provided opportunities for writers and readers to explore complex themes: the ethical use of power, the consequences of scientific advancement, and the enduring strength of family bonds, all while delivering thrilling adventures. In doing so, they became both role models and narrative touchstones, shaping the trajectory of countless other characters and stories in the Marvel Universe. Fantastic Four: A History, Part 5. As the Fantastic Four continued to navigate a universe full of cosmic threats, alternate realities, and temporal paradoxes, they began to consider a new kind of mission, ensuring that their legacy would endure long after they themselves were gone. This was not merely about heroic science or exploration. It was about stewardship, mentorship, and creating a framework in which future generations could thrive. In many ways, Part 5% of their story is as much about family and legacy as it is about superpowers or cosmic battles, the evolution of the family dynamic. From the very beginning, the Fantastic Four were defined not just by powers, but by the strength of their relationships. Reed Richards and Susan Storm provided intellectual and emotional anchors. Their partnership was the foundation of the team, combining scientific brilliance, strategic insight, and deep empathy. Over time, their marriage matured into a partnership that transcended heroism, serving as a model for loyalty, collaboration, and personal growth. Johnny Storm, the youngest member, evolved from a reckless and impulsive young man into a thoughtful, courageous hero. His journey was emblematic of the team's broader philosophy: power alone does not define a hero. Johnny learned to balance daring action with responsibility, often providing levity and inspiration while also maturing into a stabilizing presence when situations became dire. Ben Grimm, the Thing, continued to wrestle with the tension between his monstrous exterior and his fundamentally human heart. His struggles with identity, self-worth, and belonging were central to the team's narrative, demonstrating that vulnerability and courage can coexist. Ben's loyalty, humor, and unyielding sense of justice ensured that the Fantastic Four remained grounded, even when facing cosmic entities or multidimensional crises. Together, these four individuals became not just teammates but a family, one whose strength derived from shared experiences, love, and mutual respect. Their ability to navigate internal conflict while remaining united against external threats became a defining characteristic of the team. The Future Foundation, building a legacy. Perhaps the clearest manifestation of the Fantastic Four's commitment to legacy was the creation of the Future Foundation, an organization dedicated to nurturing the next generation of heroes and scientists. Reed Richards envisioned a program in which young prodigies could explore the limits of science and heroism under the guidance of experienced mentors. The Future Foundation became a hub of learning, creativity, and ethical exploration. The initiative was as much about preparation as it was about inspiration. Students and protégés were trained not only in scientific disciplines, but in teamwork, strategic thinking, and moral responsibility. They were exposed to the kinds of threats the Fantastic Four had faced, from interdimensional anomalies to cosmic disasters, cultivating resilience and adaptability. In essence, the Future Foundation became an extension of the Fantastic Four's family, a living repository of their knowledge, values, and ideals. The creation of the Future Foundation also reinforced a recurring theme in the Fantastic Four's history: the balance between power and responsibility. The team recognized that their abilities and knowledge carried obligations that extended beyond immediate crises. By investing in future heroes and innovators, they ensured that the universe would remain resilient, adaptable, and prepared for threats that were both foreseeable and unimaginable. Intergenerational challenges and mentorship. Mentorship was not without its challenges. The team faced the delicate task of guiding young minds while respecting their individuality and creativity. Some protégés were impatient, impulsive, or inexperienced. Others were brilliant, but emotionally unprepared for the consequences of their discoveries. Reed and Susan's leadership was critical, providing structure, guidance, and ethical frameworks. Johnny and Ben contributed through example, showing courage, humor, and resilience in ways that words alone could not convey. Through this process, the Fantastic Four demonstrated a fundamental truth: legacy is not about control, but about empowerment. By teaching others to think critically, act courageously, and care deeply, they ensured that the future of heroism was not simply an extension of their own abilities, but a reflection of the principles that had guided them for decades. Modern Marvel arcs and emotional storylines. In the modern era, the Fantastic Four continued to evolve, facing both external threats and deeply personal challenges. Their adventures became increasingly complex, incorporating elements of political intrigue, scientific ethics, and cosmic diplomacy. They confronted villains and phenomena that threatened entire galaxies, explored previously inaccessible dimensions, and navigated crises that tested the limits of human and superhuman endurance. Yet these high-stakes adventures were balanced with intensely personal storylines. Reed's obsessive focus on science sometimes created tension within the family, forcing him to confront the human cost of his ambitions. Susan's leadership and empathy often served as a counterbalance, helping the team navigate not only external dangers but internal conflicts. Johnny's youthful exuberance occasionally led to reckless decisions, but it also brought perspective, reminding the team of the importance of creativity, risk-taking, and emotional intelligence. Ben's ongoing struggle with self-image continued to humanize the team, providing moments of vulnerability and relatability amid cosmic chaos. The integration of personal and cosmic narratives is one of the Fantastic Four's hallmarks. Their stories demonstrate that heroism is multifaceted. It requires courage in battle, intellect in strategy, compassion in leadership, and resilience in personal relationships. By weaving these elements together, the Fantastic Four offer a holistic portrayal of what it means to be extraordinary without losing one's humanity. Intergenerational stories and legacy heroes. The expansion of the Future Foundation and the team's mentoring efforts introduced new characters and intergenerational storylines. Young heroes trained by the Fantastic Four began to take on responsibilities in ways that mirrored the original team, while also bringing fresh perspectives and abilities. This evolution allowed for a dynamic narrative in which the Fantastic Four's influence extended beyond their own actions, shaping the Marvel Universe indirectly through the accomplishments and innovations of their protégés. These intergenerational stories explored the tension between tradition and innovation. The original team provided guidance, but the young heroes often introduced unconventional solutions, demonstrating that progress sometimes requires fresh thinking. Reed and Susan learned to trust their protégés' judgment, while Johnny and Ben served as role models, emphasizing courage, ethics, and perseverance. This dynamic reinforced the theme that heroism is both inherited and earned, shaped by mentorship, experience, and individual choice. The Baxter Building, a symbol of stability and progress. Throughout these decades, the Baxter Building remained the team's home, laboratory, and hub of operations. Its significance went beyond its physical presence. It symbolized stability, innovation, and the values that define the Fantastic Four: intelligence, courage, and family. From its observation decks, laboratories, and living quarters, the team coordinated complex operations, conducted groundbreaking research, and nurtured new talent. The Baxter Building also served as a narrative anchor, linking the team's cosmic adventures to their personal lives. It was a place where crises could be strategized, scientific breakthroughs could be achieved, and interpersonal conflicts could be resolved. In many ways, it embodied the central tension in the Fantastic Four's story, the balance between extraordinary powers and the human connections that give those powers meaning. Enduring influence and cultural legacy. By this point in their history, the Fantastic Four had cemented their role as central figures in the Marvel Universe. Their influence extended beyond direct actions to shape the broader landscape of heroism, science, and storytelling. They demonstrated that courage and intelligence are inseparable, that personal growth and family bonds are as important as superhuman abilities, and that heroism is most meaningful when it inspires others to rise to challenges in their own lives. Their legacy is not only in battles won or worlds saved, but in the generations of heroes, scientists, and thinkers who have been influenced by their example. Through the Future Foundation, mentorship, and intergenerational collaboration, the Fantastic Four ensured that their principles, ingenuity, empathy, and courage would endure long after their own adventures ended. Preparing for the modern era. As the Marvel Universe entered the modern era, the Fantastic Four continued to evolve. New threats emerged, ranging from multiversal crises to cosmic-scale disasters. Yet the team's core principles remained constant: intelligence, teamwork, and an unwavering commitment to justice. Reed and Susan continued to lead with vision and empathy, Johnny balanced daring action with maturity, and Ben provided steadfast strength and humanity. The integration of mentorship, family, and cosmic responsibility ensured that the Fantastic Four remained relevant, inspiring both heroes and readers alike. Their story demonstrates that true heroism is not static. It grows, adapts, and passes on to future generations, just as they have nurtured the next wave of innovators and defenders. Fantastic Four: A History, Part 6. Even after decades of adventures, battles, and cosmic exploration, the Fantastic Four continued to evolve. The modern era presented challenges and opportunities unlike any they had faced before. New threats emerged, both human and cosmic, testing the limits of their powers, intellect, and most importantly, their bonds as a family. Yet through it all, the team remained steadfast, adapting to new realities, nurturing the next generation, and continuing to define heroism in ways that transcended time and space. Modern cosmic threats. The 21st century Marvel Universe saw threats that ranged from advanced alien invasions to temporal anomalies and multiversal catastrophes. The Fantastic Four, with decades of experience, were uniquely prepared to confront these challenges. Their early mastery of cosmic phenomena and alternate dimensions positioned them as both first responders and strategic leaders. One of the most persistent modern challenges was the return of Galactus, whose hunger remained a threat not just to Earth, but to countless civilizations across the cosmos. Unlike the Galactus they faced in their early days, the modern iterations often came with more complex motives and alliances. The team had to navigate not just physical danger, but political and moral considerations. They frequently collaborated with other heroes, including the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and cosmic entities like Eternity and the Watchers to prevent catastrophe. These modern encounters required more than sheer power. Reed Richards' scientific genius was essential in predicting Galactus' behavior and devising strategies to mitigate planetary destruction. Susan Storm's force fields evolved, capable of massive energy manipulation and protective applications on a planetary scale. Johnny Storm's powers became increasingly refined, allowing him to adapt his fiery abilities to nuanced situations. Ben Grimm, as always, provided the physical backbone, yet also served as a moral compass, reminding the team of the human element in the midst of cosmic-scale conflicts. Multiverse exploration and temporal integrity. The modern era brought with it an increasing focus on multiverse stability. The Fantastic Four's early adventures through alternate realities and time travel had laid the groundwork, but the stakes were higher than ever. Interdimensional anomalies threatened not just individual planets, but the structure of reality itself. In response, the team often led exploratory missions into unstable dimensions, facing paradoxes, alternate versions of themselves, and civilizations whose survival depended on their intervention. These missions tested their intellectual and emotional resilience. Reed's calculations often saved entire realities from collapse. Susan's strategic thinking ensured minimal collateral damage, Johnny's boldness facilitated rapid problem-solving, and Ben's strength allowed them to confront threats directly when subtler solutions failed. Their mastery of multiverse navigation also reinforced a critical lesson. Heroism is not simply about defeating enemies. It is about understanding the consequences of action, protecting the innocent, and maintaining integrity in situations where the right choice is rarely obvious. The Fantastic Four demonstrated that foresight, adaptability, and compassion are just as essential as physical or cosmic power, legacy, and the new generation. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Fantastic Four's modern story is their dedication to legacy. The Future Foundation, which began as a training ground for young prodigies, had evolved into a central institution for interdimensional exploration, scientific discovery, and ethical mentorship. Through this initiative, the team ensured that their knowledge, experience, and values would persist beyond their own active tenure. Protégés were trained in physics, engineering, interdimensional navigation, and combat strategy, while also being instilled with the ethical principles that had guided the Fantastic Four for decades. Reed and Susan focused on intellectual and moral guidance, Johnny emphasized courage and resilience, and Ben imparted lessons on loyalty, integrity, and the value of empathy. The interplay between experience and innovation became a defining feature of their continued relevance. This generational approach allowed the team to address threats in new and creative ways. Younger heroes often brought unconventional perspectives that complemented the original team's experience. By fostering independence and critical thinking, the Fantastic Four ensured that the universe would have defenders capable of confronting emerging threats, even in circumstances the original team had never encountered. Modern villains and personal challenges. Alongside cosmic threats, the Fantastic Four continued to face modern adversaries who challenged them both physically and emotionally. Dr. Doom, ever present in their history, remained a complex nemesis. His intelligence and ambition matched Reed Richards, yet his motivations remained shaped by ego, pride, and a desire for domination. Modern confrontations with Doom often involved advanced technology, political manipulation, and ethical dilemmas, rather than mere combat. The team's ability to anticipate, adapt, and negotiate made them effective in neutralizing Doom's schemes without unnecessary collateral damage. Other villains, both terrestrial and interdimensional, tested their resolve in new ways. Corporate corruption, rogue scientists, and alien invaders created scenarios in which the team's intelligence, cooperation, and moral clarity were as critical as their superhuman powers. These modern challenges reinforce the enduring theme of the Fantastic Four's story. Heroism is as much about ethical decision-making and leadership as it is about extraordinary abilities. Family and emotional resilience. In the modern era, The personal lives of the Fantastic Four remained central to their narrative. Reed and Susan continued to balance leadership and family, ensuring that the younger generation of heroes had both guidance and support. Their relationship, tested over decades of adventure, served as a model of stability, empathy, and shared responsibility. Johnny and Ben, now mature veterans, provided mentorship and moral grounding. Johnny's growth from impulsive youth to seasoned hero allowed him to connect with protégés while still maintaining his sense of wonder and joy. Ben's enduring struggle with self-image and his humanity ensured that the team never lost sight of the emotional stakes of heroism. Together, the four continued to demonstrate that family bonds, mutual respect, and shared experience are the foundations upon which lasting heroism is built. Cultural significance and influence. By this point, the Fantastic Four were more than a superhero team. They were icons of ingenuity, courage, and resilience. They influenced countless heroes across the Marvel Universe, serving as mentors, collaborators, and exemplars of ethical heroism. Their legacy extended beyond direct action to the principles they instilled in others: intelligence applied with wisdom, power tempered by empathy, and courage rooted in loyalty and love. Modern storytelling further emphasized their cultural significance. The Fantastic Four represented the idea that heroism is not a solitary pursuit. It is collaborative, ethical, and deeply human. They showed that science and emotion, intellect and courage, independence and family bonds can coexist to create extraordinary outcomes. This dual focus on personal growth and cosmic responsibility ensured that their stories remained compelling, relevant, and inspirational, even in contemporary narratives. Reflections on their legacy. Reflecting on their history, the Fantastic Four's enduring impact becomes clear. From their accidental transformation via cosmic rays to their role as guardians of the multiverse, they have continuously evolved in response to the universe's complexities. They are explorers of both the cosmos and human potential, mentors to future generations, and exemplars of the balance between extraordinary power and ethical responsibility. Their story illustrates that heroism is not defined solely by strength, speed, or intelligence. It is defined by resilience, ethical clarity, cooperation, and the courage to face challenges that may seem insurmountable. Through decades of adventure, the Fantastic Four have embodied these principles, demonstrating that true heroism is a synthesis of mind, heart, and action. The enduring place of the Fantastic Four. Even as new heroes rise and the Marvel Universe expands into multiverses, timelines, and ever larger cosmic stakes, the Fantastic Four remain central. They are the bridge between earthbound heroism and cosmic exploration, between human ambition and universal consequence. Their legacy is measured not only in victories but in inspiration, the countless protégés trained, civilizations saved, and ethical dilemmas navigated. Ultimately, the Fantastic Four's story is one of continuity amid change. Powers may evolve, realities may shift, and cosmic threats may escalate, but the core of the team, intelligence, courage, empathy, and family, remains unchanged. Their journey from a small team of explorers turned heroes to interdimensional protectors and mentors illustrates that heroism is enduring when grounded in principles that transcend circumstance. The Fantastic Four are, in every sense, timeless. They embody the ideal that humans, even ordinary in origin, can achieve greatness through ingenuity, unity, and compassion. They are not only defenders of Earth and the universe, but exemplars of what it means to face the unknown with courage, to nurture the future, and to remain true to oneself in a world of infinite possibilities.